Hi everybody, and welcome to the start of the API module. This is going to be one of the most important modules in the class because it will set the foundation for a very rigorous concept of client-side development, and that's using APIs. And when we use the term API, it can refer to two things, as I mentioned in the intro of the module. It can refer to a web API client side, or in other words, basically the way you use a library or something provided to you by the browser. But this module is really going to be focused on server-side APIs, and server-side APIs are a way of getting data from servers and doing stuff with it, and sometimes even creating new data on those servers. But before we get into that, I want to cover some topics that I believe will be helpful. The first one being HTTP. So let's just start nice and easy. Moving around the web, right? So you've browsed the web before on your phones, on your browsers. We go to Amazon.com and we see Amazon.com, but you might not have really thought about what is actually happening when you go to these web pages, or maybe you do, maybe you have some concept, but the important part is really how we get information when we go to one of these. So when we actually go to a website, if I type in google.com, oops, not /Gmail, I don't need you all to see my email. So google.com, we are making a request, an HTTP request, and it's sent through the web. It's resolved by DNS and whatnot, and it eventually reaches Google servers, and Google sends back information. You might have that concept, but let's really break down what that means. So we made a request to google.com, and we can open up a new tool that we haven't really used much before in this class or the intro class, the network tab. Okay. So important thing about the network tab is that, let me make this a little smaller, that it has to be open before it starts actually recording activity. So right now it shows really nothing of use, but I'm going to refresh. I'm going to click these all and I'm going to refresh the page. Okay. Now you can see that we have a ton of stuff. So every one of these things is an HTTP request, Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Okay, we made a request to google.com, and we can see information about the request. We can see that it's a GET request. Anytime we type something in the URL bar, we're making a GET request. Now that term won't really mean much now, but it covers a lot of interesting stuff when we talk about REST APIs in the future. But for now, gets are where we're going to stay. So we're getting something. We are going to google.com and getting back what? Well, we're getting back some information, and we are getting back the actual HTML page. This is what we get back. We sent a request to Google, and they gave us back an HTML page. You might be saying, well, there's the HTML. What's all this other stuff? Well, this HTML has in itself resources that aren't sent along with it. So, for instance, if we kind of take a look at some of this stuff, we have various JavaScript libraries that are probably somewhere in this HTML document that renders this page. There are pictures. This is an SVG. I don't know what it's of. This is some sort of image. There's a GIF. I think that GIF might be this picture, but every resource in the HTML document will trigger another HTTP request, and that HTTP request will go out to a server, and that server will send back a response, and that response will be information or a file, like this JavaScript file you can see. It could be a lot of different things, PDFs, you name it. So keep that in mind as we're moving through this topic. We're going to be working a lot with HTTP being kind of the driving force. And so we're going to see how we get information from APIs, because that's what our main use case is going to be. And that information is going to look a little different than a regular web page, right? When we're browsing web pages and clicking things, we're seeing fully rendered websites. This is your main normal user-driven people scrolling the web, getting stuff. They're getting information. Information about products, information about social media posts, you name it. But when developers hit APIs, we're going to get actual raw information that can be used in our web pages. So we'll see a little bit of that in the next video. So thank you for watching, and I will see you soon.